Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to this special, I guess you could say, music video. And no, I'm not showing a video or any music video or anything, or doing one, but music video edition of the cartoon Flashback. Now you might ask yourself, what do you mean by music video edition, Brian, if you're not doing one? What I'm here to do is talk about a music video that's very animated. And I talked about very recently in my eight Q&A questions my 8 questions Q&A, which I'll provide a link to here in the description box if you want to check that playlist out. But the music video that is in the category of animated is actually a very intriguing and innovative music video. In fact, it was very innovative for its time back in the mid-80s. What video am I talking about? Well, if you take a look at the picture there, the DVD, and of course the pictures, I should say, I'm talking about Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. Now, I know a lot of people might point out and say, well, there were other innovative, if not innovative, animated videos at that time, or semi-animated music videos at that time. And I agree, there were. I mean, you take a look at the Eurythmics, I think Missionary Man, and you basically have the video start off with, I can't think of her name right now, but you have the lead female singer's face being created in a lab with some kind of waxy fluid, and then and then you had clips of her during the video being surrounded by all this stop motion machinery. So I understand that. I understand that there have been videos like that, and I understand that the formation of her face out of some kind of waxy liquid throughout the video was very innovative as well. But the reason nobody comes out and says, well, it was as innovative as Sledgehammer or some videos that were inspired by Sledgehammer, like videos like, say, Big Time and maybe even Digging in the Dirt, is because obviously they didn't do what Peter did here, along with Aardman Animation, the people responsible for Wallace and Gromit, I can't even think of his name. Wallace and Gromit, I can't think of his name, like I said. As well as other people. And the fact that one of the most interesting and talked about behind the scenes facts with this video when it was created was the fact that Peter Gabriel himself had to lie down for 16 hours. Lie down underneath a heavy glass plane for 16 hours for this video to be created. And why? Because there were certain sections in the video that required him to do so. Now, of course, there were sections where he sat up in a chair, like at the beginning when you have the little you have that little steam train, as he calls it, that little rail train set, the little railroading train set going around his face. Or if you have, like, let's say, the blue skies, and as he points out in the new documentary, which you could find called So, which is part of the classic album series on Blu-ray. You can find that on Blu-ray and DVD, I believe. They basically said they had to sit there and allow them to paint his face blue with little clouds and everything to go with the blue skies lyric as well. But for things like the infamous fruit salad face, or the fruit face, if you will, basically for his infamous other scenes that match the lyrics, like the fruit cage moment where his face gets surrounded and engulfed and transformed into I guess you could say, a fruit salad or fruit cocktail face, if you will. As well as the big wall, kind of wooden wall going in front of him. And all that. Along with as he put it, the fish, the other things as well. All that, except for the claymation part, all that was done with him lying underneath a heavy glass plane for 16 hours. And that's from his face, his head be forming into ice, his, like I said, the fruit the fruit face, the infamous fruit scene, the boxed in scene, I guess you can call it, stuff like that. As well as like the bumper car scene and all that. That was all because he had to lie under a heavy plane glass for 16 hours. You know, and back then, when this came out, when I first saw it as a kid, when it came out, you don't even know that he did that. As a kid, growing up in the 80s, I think I was like 7 years old at the time, or going on 7 when this video came out. You don't know that you don't even know that he did that. All you know watching the video is like, you're just mesmerized. Now, some people who grew up with the video watching it would say they were a little freaked out as kids. But for someone like me, and I'm sure anybody else that was a kid growing up with this would admit, it captured our imagination. It was like, it was something that we didn't think we'd see coming, honestly. You know, it was something that, you know, as a kid, was very imaginative, if not very cartoony, and very funny. It made us laugh sometimes. Because think about it, you're maybe 6, 7 years old, maybe 8, or maybe at the youngest 4 or 5, and you're watching this, or even 3, let's say, for example, you're watching this video back then, when it first comes out. What's the first thing you say to your family if it doesn't scare you, but you get a kick out of it, you find it funny? What's the first thing you say when you, let's say, you see him you see all this fruit surround him, and all of a sudden it turns into a fruit version of his face? What do you say? What do you say? What do you think you say to your family, your folks? You say, Mom. You say something like, "Mommy, Daddy, did you see that guy? His face turned into fruit, into a bunch of fruit." That's what you say. And when you see the claymation parts, you think, "Mommy, Daddy, look at this. His face turned into his face split apart, or his hands turned into sledgehammers." And you basically tell them what's going on because it intrigues you, and you find it interesting, but you also find it funny because it makes you laugh that his face is going through all these different morphs or transformations. It's changing into all these different things. I mean, basically, it's like, you know, as a kid, it blows your mind. Now, as an adult, you kind of understand how it was done. You know, through things like the internet, and of course DVDs and Blu-rays with the special features and commentaries, you kind of get the idea of, okay, this is why it happened. This is why they did it. You know, this is why, you know, this is how long it took to make. And again, for a kid growing up in the 80s, you look at something like this video and it just really blows your mind. It really, you know, as a kid growing up in the 80s, you know, you don't know, like I said before, you don't know that they went through that, but as you get older, you have more of appreciation for stuff like that back then. You have more, like I said, more of an appreciation, and you want to learn more about that and how it was created. Again, you know, you start learning about how it was done, and like I said, I know I'm repeating myself here, so I apologize, but you kind of get that appreciation for how long it took someone like Peter there to help make this video reality. Now, a lot of people say that without the music video, the song was infectious. It was a very good song that you can enjoy, and you can enjoy listening to on the radio, or on record, LP, or even on cassette back then at that time. But a lot of people have said that even though the song was good to listen to alone, the music video was the selling point. And it was. There's no doubt. I mean, as a kid, it was a selling point to any kid. Because you didn't even... Because I'll be honest with you, I've not seen a music video like that. And sometimes I've not seen a video go in that direction yet. The only videos closest to that, believe it or not, were his other songs like Big Time and Sledgehammer. They were the only ones closest. You never had anything else as close as that. Never. I mean, sure, you'll see a lot of people through the music videos, like Elizabeth Cook might take inspiration from that. I mean, in her song "Stupid Things," there's a scene where she bites, after she's untangled by a phone cord, where she bites into a watermelon, and then all this fruit, not as much as they used in Sledgehammer, but pieces of fruit like apples, you know, and all that, surround her face. And just like with Peter Gabriel's music video, kind of transform it into a fruit face. Now, not as elaborate as his, where, you know, he's singing, well, where after his face is morphed or transformed or turned into this fruit face, that he's still singing. No, it's basically after she says the lyric, it just basically turns into a fruit face. You see these Tupperware stuff in the background, and all you see is the face kind of like making little eye movements, and like the apples turning around, and kind of like the mouth opening, you know, going ah kind of deal. You know, like showing like, hey, look at me now, kind of deal, that kind of thing. But again, that shows you there is inspiration out there. I mean, even again, I can't even think of her name. But there was this one girl that kind of took a similar situation towards the end of her video, where I think one of the lyrics is, "This is the saddest story." And basically, towards the end of the video, she goes from being live action to being stop motion. And basically, when she says she wants to be where her lover is, which is basically heaven, she basically starts taking herself apart. Because she's turned into a stop motion kind of Barbie doll version of herself. She starts taking herself apart. And you see this glow come out of the area where she's now nothing but pieces of herself on a pillow. So that I could tell kind of took some inspiration from Sledgehammer, maybe some of other Gabriel's videos. But again, as a kid, this was a huge selling point for the song. And as you got older, like I said, you gain more of an appreciation of it because you wanted to find out exactly how the heck they did that. And it's still, and believe it or not, even as you grew that, you know, appreciation for it, you also still grew to like the video even more. I mean, there are some people, I'll probably provide a link to the channel, to the video, to what they were doing. To the video that they did, but there were some people here on YouTube that were actually using, I think it was one of the Little Big Planet games, to do a recreation of Sledgehammer. I'm not lying. And then of course, the big news besides that, and I'll provide a link, like I said, to that video so you guys can see what I mean. But besides that, the big news over the past few months is he himself, Peter Gabriel, is asking fans through Facebook, through social media, to help recreate certain scenes from Sledgehammer that will be incorporated into a remake of the video, which I think is pretty cool. Now, of course, that contest has already ended, but still, it'll be pretty cool to see that when it's finished. Now, of course, people do tend to remake songs that have been like one-time hits and all that. I've always imagined a female remaking Sledgehammer. Well, one female did. Her name's Mayasia, I think. She remade Sledgehammer in a very soulful, jazzy kind of way, R&B kind of way. And she did do a music video, and I think the only tribute to the video is when she goes behind a dressing curtain, and you see nothing but a silhouette of her, kind of putting a robe on or something. And to me, the reason everybody appreciates the song by itself and probably not the video that much is because, like anybody that's a fan of the song and the original music video, people would probably expect somebody, whether it's female or male, to recreate a music video. If you basically expect them to recreate a music video or create a music video very similar to the original. So that, just like with Peter's, it'll have almost a very familiar vibe. And that's why I feel people liked Mayasia's remade song version more than they did the video. Because like I said, they were probably expecting a remade or her own take on the Sledgehammer music video. So, I'll be back in a sec.